Okay, so um, I want you to imagine losing your entire home to a catastrophic fire this winter. And the crazy part is the whole thing started because of like a single oak leaf in your gutter this summer.
Yeah, I know it sounds like a massive exaggeration, right?
Right, it sounds totally made up.
It does. But when we actually look at the physics of how a home operates in a severe climate, that is a very real and honestly a very frightening domino effect.
And that is exactly what we are unpacking today. So I want you, the listener, to picture coastal Maine, right?
Hmm.
Because when most people think of Maine, you probably imagine this idyllic scene, heavy, beautiful autumn foliage, maybe a picturesque, snowy winter
The
landscape.
whole postcard image.
Exactly. But if you actually own a property there, the reality is a lot more brutal. You are dealing with extreme winter freeze-thaw cycles, driving rain, and like really high humidity.
Yeah, it's intense.
So your home isn't just this static object sitting on a lot. It is an active fortress, and it is just constantly battling nature.
And our mission for this deep dive is to explore the brutal realities of maintaining a property in that kind of hostile environment. Specifically, we're looking at the invisible connections in your home's exterior system.
The invisible connections. I like that.
Right, because we are going to see how neglecting one seemingly simple system can trigger a catastrophic chain reaction that literally threatens the entire structure.
Okay, let's unpack this. To guide us, we're pulling from a stack of 2026 articles, service guides, and blog posts from Select Chimney Services.
Which is a property maintenance company based right in the heart of it all, in Portland, Maine.
Right. And whether you are currently dealing with Maine nor'easters or, you just want to understand the hidden physics of your own home wherever you live, understanding these mechanics will completely change how you look at the next rainstorm.
It really will. And to do that, we have to start at the absolute first line of defense against that environment, which is the roof drainage system,
Yeah.
your gutters. Because most people look at gutters and just see these passive metal channels, hanging off the edge of the roof that just catch rain.
That's what I thought they were, just rain catchers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the sources highlight that they do so much more than that. They're active directors of water management. They're designed to forcefully channel water away from the most vulnerable parts of your house.
Like your siding, your windows, your doors.
And your foundation, especially the foundation.
But because they're the first line of defense, they take the most incoming fire. I mean, pine needles, oak leaves, twigs dropped by heavy storms, these all easily clog those channels.
Yeah, absolutely.
I look at it kind of like a blocked artery in the human body, or in this case, the water keeps pumping, the pressure builds up, and it has to go somewhere.
That's a great analogy. So let's follow where that pressure goes, starting with the spring and summer seasons.
Okay, what happens then?
Well, when those heavy rains hit and the gutter is blocked, the water simply spills over the edge and pools right around the base of your home.
Which doesn't sound great.
No, it's terrible. If we connect this to the bigger picture, the physics of that blocked artery are devastating to a home's foundation because water is incredibly heavy.
Oh, right.
It weighs over 8 pounds per gallon. So when hundreds of gallons of overflowing water pool at the base of your house, it creates a phenomenon engineers call hydrostatic pressure.
Hydrostatic pressure. Okay, so you essentially have thousands of pounds of water pushing with immense weight against your basement walls.
Pushing relentlessly. And concrete, despite looking completely solid, actually has microscopic pores.
Wait, really? Pores in solid concrete?
Yeah, exactly. So that immense hydrostatic pressure actually forces the water right through those microscopic pores in the concrete, which leads directly to structural cracking and severe basement flooding.
Okay, so that's the summer scenario, which is bad enough.
Sure.
But the winter consequence is almost like a horror movie for your roof.
Oh, it really is.
Because the water gets trapped in that same clogged gutter, but now the temperature drops and it freezes rapidly into these massive, heavy ice dams.
And we aren't just talking about decorative icicles hanging off the edge here. We are talking about solid, incredibly dense blocks of ice.
Right.
They carry so much physical weight that they will literally cry the metal gutters right off the fascia boards.
The fascia board being the flat wooden board right behind the gutter holding it up, right?
Exactly. But the structural damage goes even deeper than that. As the ambient heat from inside your attic escapes through the roof, it melts the snow sitting on top of the house.
Okay, makes sense.
That melted snow runs down the roof, but then it hits that solid ice dam sitting in the freezing cold gutter and eave area.
Oh, no. So the water has nowhere to go. It's blocked.
It's completely blocked,
Yeah.
so the melting snow is forced to back up, literally shoving its way uphill underneath your overlapping roof shingles.
Meaning the water goes straight into the roof deck, just soaking the wood and causing all this hidden interior rot and mold inside your attic space.
Precisely. It's devastating.
But here's where my mind was completely blown by these sources. When that gutter gets blocked, the water doesn't just attack the roof or the basement.
No, it doesn't.
It directly attacks a totally separate system that I always assumed had absolutely nothing to do with gutters. The chimney.
Yeah, that catches a lot of people off guard. I think most property owners view their roof drainage and their chimney as entirely isolated systems.
Right, they're on different parts of the house.
Or at least they serve different functions. But in reality, their proximity makes them deeply interconnected. To visualize this, just think about a roof valley.
A roof valley. That's the V-shaped crease on a roof where two different sloped sections meet, right?
Exactly. And that valley acts like a giant funnel for rainwater. When the gutters sitting directly below a roof valley get clogged, all that funneled accumulated water frequently overflows directly onto the chimney's brickwork.
Okay, hang on. I'm stuck on something here. I need to push back on this idea.
Sure. What is it?
It's a brick chimney. We literally use the phrase built like a brick house to mean indestructible. How on earth is a leaf in a gutter destroying a solid brick wall?
It sounds counterintuitive, I know. But from a material science perspective, masonry is not invincible.
It's not.
No, not at all. Masonry, which includes your brick, your concrete, and your mortar, is inherently porous. The experts at Select Chimney use a really fantastic term for this. They refer to brick and mortar as rigid sponges.
A rigid sponge. Okay, wow. So even though it feels solid to the touch, on a microscopic level, it's just full of holes waiting to soak up liquid.
Precisely. These rigid sponges absorb this constant stream of ambient moisture from the high coastal humidity, plus the literal waterfalls of overflowing water from those clogged gutters.
So they just get totally waterlogged.
Yes, they become saturated.
Right.
And that saturation becomes a massive structural liability when the Maine winter hits and temperatures drop below freezing.
Right, because water expands when it freezes.
It expands by about 9%, actually. So you have all this trapped water inside the pores of the brick. It turns to ice. It expands. And that physical expansion creates immense internal pressure.
Oh, wow. So it's breaking from the inside out.
Exactly. It forces the outer faces of the bricks to literally pop off.
Yeah.
This is a destructive process known as spalling.
Spalling. Yeah.
And at the same time, it causes the mortar joints, the cement-like lines holding the whole stack of bricks together,
Yeah.
to just crumble into dust.
That is insane. So a seemingly indestructible brick wall turns into this fragile, crumbling structure, all because a handful of oak leaves clogged a gutter 5 feet away.
Yeah.
The failure of the drainage system actually dictates the survival of the masonry.
That is the invisible connection right there.
Okay, so now that we know this invisible destruction is happening all around us, how do you, the homeowner, actually spot it?
Well,
And preferably without risking your neck by climbing onto a slippery, icy roof.
right. Safety first. The sources make a point to emphasize that ground-level forensics are your absolute best tool.
Ground-level forensics. I like the sound of that.
You do not need a ladder. A simple visual inspection from the safety of your lawn during a heavy rainstorm can literally save you thousands of dollars in restorative work.
So you're just looking at the house while it's raining?
Exactly. You just need to walk the perimeter of your house and observe the behavior of the water.
Okay, the first thing to look for seems pretty obvious based on what we said. The waterfall effect.
Right.
If you see water cascading over the edges of the gutter like a waterfall, your downspout is likely blocked.
Yes, that's the most glaring sign. But the second thing is a little more subtle. You need to look at the posture of the gutters.
The posture, like are they sagging or leaning away from the roof line?
Exactly. If they are pitching forward or sagging, it means the hardware holding them up, like the heavy metal spikes or the hidden hangers, have failed under the extreme weight of trapped water, ice, and debris.
Got it.
You also want to step back and inspect the exterior walls themselves. Water running consistently down the side of the house will cause exterior paint to bubble and peel right off the wood.
Let's take that a step further, because why does the paint peel? Like what's actually happening there?
The water gets behind the layer of paint, and it breaks its bond with the wood. So if your paint is failing in a vertical line down the side of your house, you almost certainly have a drainage failure directly above it.
Oh, that makes so much sense.
And you also must check the foundation during this walkaround. Your downspouts must carry water at least 5 feet away from the base of the home.
Because if they dump water right at the base...
You are inviting that hydrostatic pressure we discussed earlier.
Right, right. And then there's my absolute favorite warning sign mentioned in the guides. Plant growth.
Oh yeah, the roof gardens.
Yes. If you look up and see a cute little mini garden sprouting from your roof line, that is actually a massive structural red flag.
It really is. Visible vegetation sprouting from the roofline means there is enough decaying organic matter in the gutter channel to not only block water, but to act as actual soil.
That's terrifying.
It is supporting an entire root system up there.
Nature finds a way, right? Usually right through your home's equity.
Yeah, exactly.
But the exterior signs are only half the story, right? The inside of the house gives away clues, too.
Yes. The internal warning signs, specifically indoor smells, are just as much of an alarm bell as waterfall outside.
Interesting. What kind of smells?
Well, if you notice a lingering musty odor inside your home, particularly near the fireplace or the basement, it often means water has completely penetrated the masonry and entered the wooden framing or drywall of the structure.
But it's not just musty smells, is it? The sources mention that if you smell a lingering, burning, acrid, or like a campfire smell coming from the fireplace when it's not in use, you have a serious problem.
Yeah, that is a huge red flag.
Yeah.
A campfire smell indicates a dangerous buildup of creosote or heavily restricted airflow inside the chimney flue. Which brings us to a really critical pivot point in this deep dive. Once a homeowner spots these red flags, the peeling paint, the crumbling brick, the weird campfire smells, the immediate human instinct is to run to the garage, grab a ladder, and try to fix it themselves.
Yes, the classic DIY approach. But the sources are absolutely emphatic about this. DIY property maintenance in this specific environment is a terrible, terrible idea.
It is a very dangerous illusion. First, let's look at the immediate physical risk.
Right.
Working on ladders in wet, windy, or icy coastal conditions to clean gutters or patch a high chimney carries significant hazard of a fall.
Obviously.
But beyond the obvious risk to your physical body, DIY repairs are actually worse for the house itself.
Because they mask hidden hazards. And the sources note that amateur repairs on structural elements like chimneys can actually void your homeowner's insurance policies.
Exactly.
Which means if a fire starts because of an amateur patch job, you might be entirely on the hook for the damage.
And that leads to the core reason why professional intervention outperforms risky DIY methods so consistently for Maine property maintenance. It comes down to a massive gap in diagnostics and specialized equipment.
Right, because a homeowner with a flashlight looking up a dark chimney simply cannot see what a professional sees.
Not even close.
So what are the pros using that make such a difference?
Local experts use high-resolution video scanning and high-definition flue cameras.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they drop these illuminated cameras all the way down the chimney shaft to inspect the internal clay liners. They were looking for microscopic cracks in those liners cracks that are completely invisible to the naked eye from the fireplace or the roof.
And why do cracks in the clay liner matter so much? I mean, it's inside a brick chimney.
It's because of heat transfer.
Okay.
If you have cracked clay liners and damaged mortar joints inside the chimney shaft, the extreme heat from your fireplace can escape the masonry containment. That heat transfers directly to the combustible wooden framing of your home that sits right next to the chimney. It risks a catastrophic residential fire.
So the false confidence of a DIY patch job on the outside basically masks that invisible heat transfer risk on the inside.
Exactly. You think you fixed it, but you actually just covered up a ticking time bomb.
Let's talk about that creosote for a second, too. The sources mention that creosote buildup progresses through 3 distinct stages. How does it even form in the first place?
So creosote forms when unburned wood particles in the smoke travel up the chimney. If the chimney is cold, perhaps because water damage has compromised it, or if the airflow is restricted, that smoke cools down too quickly before it escapes.
Oh, so it doesn't make it all the way out.
Right. It condenses as a liquid on the cold flue walls. Over time, as it gets heated and cooled repeatedly, it bakes into different stages of creosote.
And stage 3 is the absolute worst, right?
Stage 3 creosote is a highly flammable, thick, glazed tar that sticks like glue to your flue walls.
That sounds awful.
It is. DIYers simply cannot handle stage 3.
Right.
Do not just brush away with a wire brush you bought at the hardware store.
Right.
It requires advanced professional equipment, often chemical treatments or specialized rotary chains, to safely remove it without destroying the chimney liner itself.
I came up with an analogy for this. Trying to fix stage 3 creosote or a cracked internal flue with standard garage tools is like trying to perform amateur dentistry with pliers.
That is so accurate.
You're just going to cause a lot more pain, you'll miss the actual infection, and you'll probably break the tooth entirely.
That captures the risk perfectly. And, the technology gap extends to the materials, too.
How so?
Well, if we look at just the exterior bricks cracking from that freeze-thaw cycle we talked about, a homeowner's instinct is to grab a cheap tube of standard concrete patch.
Right, just cock it up.
Exactly. But Maine's extreme weather requires professionals to apply custom refractory mortar.
Custom refractory mortar. What makes refractory mortar different from the stuff I can buy for, like, $10?
Standard concrete cannot handle intense thermal shock.
Okay.
It will crack and fail almost immediately when exposed to the heat of a fire and the freezing cold of winter simultaneously. Refractory mortar is specifically engineered with fire clay aggregates.
Fire clay aggregates.
Yeah, it is designed to expand and contract with extreme temperature swings without losing its structural integrity. You simply cannot replicate that with DIY materials.
Okay, so we've established that DIY is completely off the table. You're risking your safety, your insurance, and your house.
Completely.
So what do the professionals actually do to stop this cycle? And, what is the financial reality of this upkeep?
The primary preventative measure to save the masonry is professional chimney waterproofing.
Waterproofing a chimney.
Yes. And based on the 2026 data in the sources, standard residential chimney waterproofing costs between $300 and $800.
Okay, $300 to $800.
The final price tag just depends on the size of the property, the pitch of the roof, and how much surface preparation is required before application.
Now, $300, $800 might sound like a chunk of change to hand over just for preventative maintenance.
Sure.
But it is literally pennies compared to replacing a collapsed historic chimney or, rebuilding after a fire.
Oh, without a doubt. The economics heavily favor prevention. Applying that commercial-grade sealant stops the rigid sponge effect entirely.
Oh, so it stops it from soaking up the water.
Exactly. It creates a vapor-permeable barrier that prevents the porous bricks from absorbing outside water while still letting internal moisture escape.
Oh, that's smart. It can breathe, but it doesn't drink.
Right. It completely stops the destructive freeze-thaw damage inside the masonry before it can even start.
But, what if you're living in one of those gorgeous historic homes in Portland and the damage is already done?
Right.
Like the gutters overflowed for years, the bricks are already spalling, and the mortar is just turning to dust. What is the solution then?
In those cases, compromised elements require skilled demolition and tuck pointing.
Tuck pointing.
Yeah, it's a specialized process where professionals carefully grind out the old, decayed mortar from between the bricks and firmly pack in fresh, specialized mortar.
Okay.
It restores the stack to its original structural strength without having to tear down the entire chimney.
That sounds meticulous.
It is. Constant amateur patching by a homeowner is a total waste of money in that scenario. Sometimes a full professional restoration, or even a new installation, is the only cost-effective long-term solution.
The sources also highlight upgrading the internal systems of the chimney, specifically installing custom-fitted stainless steel liners.
Yes, that's crucial.
But why are those necessary if we just fix the brick outside?
Upgrading to stainless steel liners is considered essential modern protection. The metal completely resists the acidic corrosion caused by burning wood.
Oh, because the smoke is acidic?
Exactly. It acts as an impenetrable barrier that absolutely prevents that dangerous heat transfer to the home's combustible framing.
Okay, I see.
Furthermore, a properly sized seal liner dramatically improves the chimney draft.
The draft, like how it pulls the smoke up.
Yes, a better draft pulls smoke out faster, which boosts the overall efficiency of your heating appliances and prevents that stage 3 creosote from forming in the first place.
Wait, let's connect the loop here. We just talked about spending all this money on tuck pointing, waterproofing, and stainless steel liners. But if we don't fix the clogged gutter that dumped water on the chimney in the first place, won't the new brick just freeze and explode all over again?
That is exactly the point. You cannot maintain one system while ignoring the other.
Right.
Which brings us to the maintenance schedule for those gutters. Properties in Maine require professional clearing at least twice a year.
Twice a year, okay.
You need a late autumn clearing after the majority of the leaves have fallen to prep the channels for the winter snow and ice.
That makes sense.
Then you need a late spring clearing to remove all the seed pods, blossoms, and twigs dropped by heavy spring storms.
And the sources mention a specific caveat for pine trees, which are, obviously everywhere in Maine.
Yes. If your home is heavily surrounded by pine trees,
Yeah.
you require a third clearing annually.
3 times a year.
Yeah, pine needles don't just sit in the gutter. They mat down tightly together and create an impenetrable dam in the channel that water simply cannot pass through.
Man. So let's step back and look at the whole picture. We started this deep dive looking at a simple oak leaf or a clump of pine needles clogging a metal channel.
Right.
But we traced how that single, seemingly minor failure creates thousands of pounds of hydrostatic pressure that cracks basement walls.
It's a huge chain reaction.
Right. We saw how it forces water under roof shingles. We saw how it overflows onto porous brick, turning it into a saturated sponge that freezes, expands, and blows the face off the masonry.
Which then compromises the internal structure, leading to dangerous vulnerabilities like stage 3 creosote buildup, invisible heat transfer through cracked clay liners, and potential house fires.
Ultimately, the core lesson from these 2026 Select Chimney Services guides is that skipping the DIY route and hiring professionals isn't just about saving your weekend time.
No, not at all.
It protects the physical structure of your home, your family's safety, and your insurance coverage. You simply cannot replicate the high-definition flue cameras, the custom refractory mortar, and the safety training of local experts.
Exactly. But, you can start protecting your home today without spending a dime.
How so?
The next time there is a heavy rainstorm, just grab an umbrella, step outside, and walk the perimeter of your house. Observe how your water behaves.
Ground-level forensics.
Exactly. Look for the waterfalls over the gutters. Look for the sagging hardware. Look for the peeling paint. Let the water tell you where your invisible connections are failing.
Let the water tell you the story. I love that. But I want to leave you, the listener, with one final thought to mull over. Something that wasn't explicitly debated in these maintenance guides, but is kind of staring us right in the face.
Oh, what's that?
We've talked extensively about how traditional masonry materials like brick and mortar act like rigid sponges. They are inherently porous and incredibly vulnerable to harsh, shifting coastal climates.
Right. It is a fundamental vulnerability of the material itself.
So if these classic materials have to constantly fight a losing battle against nature, it raises a much larger question about the future of home architecture.
That's an interesting point.
Like, as extreme weather events continue to increase in frequency and intensity, will the classic romantic brick chimney eventually become a relic of the past?
Yeah.
Are we going to see traditional masonry replaced entirely by modern synthetic venting systems that just don't absorb water at all?
That is a fascinating paradigm shift to consider for the future of residential building.
Imagine a future where homes are built with materials that don't need to be meticulously waterproofed or tucked because they simply ignore the weather.
It would change everything.
Something to think about the next time you drive past those beautiful, crumbling brick chimneys. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive.